We're Ashley and Sabrina,
your co-hosts for Ruckup Buttercup podcast.
Military life can be challenging,
but also has its advantages.
Come and be part of the unfiltered
and sometimes unhinged conversations with fellow military spouses, Kayla and Laura, as we dive into the occasional rant
and rave of military life.
Share the stories that make us who we are,
and showcase the amazing organizations
and resources out there that make our lives a little bit better.
Whether you're new
or a seasoned military family,
we all need a little extra love.
So, Ruckup Buttercup, we got your 6.
You can also hear us on Read Across America Radio on Women in Media Wednesdays at 11 p.m. See you there.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ruckup Buttercup. We are back with another episode. We have a great resource with us today. If you do not know who they are, you will know all about them today, but most of you should know who they are. So it's just me today. You just get Ashley and our special guest, but that's okay. Sabrina will be back on the next episode, and I'm really excited to talk to our guest today because I'm surprised we haven't had them on the podcast yet. This is the 5th season that we've had the podcast, and we've done so much work with the USO through Deployed Love that I was like, why have we not had any of our partners on the podcast yet? So we are rectifying that this season. We've already done a couple, but today we have the USO joining us, and we have Nicole Vogel, who is the Senior Program Manager for USO. So welcome to the podcast, Nicole.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, and look forward to chatting with you.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself, because not only do you work for USO, but you are also a military spouse as well.
Yes. So my journey with the USO is very special and near and dear to my heart. And I love telling this story because I was a brand new military spouse, newlywed, and our first assignment was overseas. So that was fun because not knowing anything about anything and coming overseas, I was very career oriented. So I left my career and came to actually Ramstein, Germany, where I didn't really know anyone and didn't know how to kind of find my career over here in Germany, where I am currently right now. So full circle. But what happened, the story with the USO and me, kind of my military spouse journey paralleled because I walked into a USO center a couple weeks of living overseas and knew a little bit about the USO, but wasn't sure and just kind of went in to check it out. And it was the friendliest group of people who welcomed me with a huge smile. And it was one of those things where I just felt finally at peace because I was just so tense and not knowing what to expect and just needed to find my people. And so I ran home and I kind of searched, like, what does the USO have to offer? And they had a job opportunity. I applied and I got it. So 16 years later, here I am, still at the USO, which has been an incredible journey, and now kind of overseeing all military spouse and family programs around the world. So it's really cool that I have been able to work in the nonprofit world with the USO, supporting service members and families, while my spouse is out, serving the Air Force and the military.
Yeah, it's really funny that you said your first experience with the USO was Ramstein, because that's also my first experience with it. I grew up military, and so like I've heard of the USO, like, just passing my dad, things like that. But my first experience with it was when we also moved over to Germany, and I was a kid. So I was a teenager, and my first volunteering was with the USO. My first big programs that, we got to experience was with the USO at Ramstein. And so when you said that, I was like, oh, I know those people. And it really is like, when you go into any USO, whether it's, the USO rooms at the airports, or, if you go into a USO office on any installation, if they have one, it's met with friendly faces. I've never gone into any of those offices and felt like they weren't there to support us in any way. They were asking, like, how can I help you? What can we do? And that was all really important, especially when you add a new installation. And so it's really, really nice to know that no matter where you go in the world, the USO always has really friendly faces.
Yes, 100%. And it's interesting, well, that you're saying, the USO locations, and if there is a USO location, wherever you're located, I always recommend to anyone in the military to always just go to uso.org/locations. And that's a plug, but
Yep,
it's
nope,
the easiest way
plug
to know.
away.
It's the easiest way to know if there is a USO in your location, and we want to sing from the rooftops that military spouses can go into a USO. It's funny because I always get so anxious going on to any military location
Yep.
because all the buildings look the same, and I'm like, am I allowed in that building? Because there have been times when I walk into a building and I'm like, I shouldn't be in here. I don't know.
No, I understand that 100%.
Yes.
And I think that's important because I think that's something that a lot of people don't know. And I think it's coming a little bit more known about now that the USO is open to families.
Yes.
I think back in the day, it was just saw as this was just for soldier support, things like that. Whether it was or not, that was kind of how it was advertised. But now you see things specifically for just spouses. And I think it's really great that a lot of people forget that there are those resources. They offer different things. And we'll get into that in just a second, with all the different things that you guys do. But I kind of want to backtrack just a tiny bit about so can you share us a teeny tiny bit about the history of USO? Like, how did the USO start? How long has the USO been around? Because I think that's also a really fun fact, because I don't think anyone realizes how long the USO, I mean, you just said 16 years you've been with USO, which is a really long time. So how long has the USO been around and supporting military families?
Yeah, so we have been around since February 4th, 1941. So we've been around for a minute, right? Like, it's been.
I didn't even realize it was 41. I knew it's been a while, but I didn't realize it was 41. So I learned something new today. That's amazing.
And it's cool. I do also want to share, if you look at the USO logo, you'll see 6 stars. So the fun fact about that are the USO came together. 6 organizations came together to form the USO, which stands for United Service Organizations, plural. And these organizations came together, which became the USO. So that's a fun fact too, because some people don't realize that little.
That's amazing, because when you know that the multiple things came together to create one thing, it was a need, and it's being met and continues to be met every single day since it's still around. And 2, I love when organizations work together. I'm a huge person about collaboration and things like that. So it's just nice that, a bunch of organizations said, hey, this needs to happen. Let's make it happen. And it's been going strong since 1941, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So it's been around since 1941. Let's talk a little bit about what the USO does now, because it is, I feel, in my opinion, it is very different than it was even 16 years ago.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot more happening that are supporting not just the service members, but specifically the families today, including, which I think this all kind of came from COVID. So it's a great little thing that there's been a lot of virtual things that have been happening as well, that, now that if you're not a place where there isn't a USO branch, you still have the opportunities to engage and interact and be able to get all the things. So can you tell us what's happening in the USO sector today?
Yeah, absolutely. So the fun thing is, when I was over here working for the USO and we PCS'd, I ended up working at the headquarters once we moved back to the Virginia area. So once at headquarters, I kind of said, we're doing wonderful things for service members as an organization, but we really need to focus on the spouses, because the spouses are the ones that are telling the service members about the things going on, So that's where Coffee Connections was created. I thought about my experiences that I had in Ramstein. We were here for 5 years, and I was tired of just stalking. And I've told this story many times through different platforms, but I was tired of stalking people at the commissary, just kind of going, could that be my next new best friend?
Mm-hmm.
It can get challenging trying to find your people. So I thought, why don't we as an organization create this place where spouses can come and just make friends?
Mm-hmm.
So all USOs, if you go to any USO, you can get free coffee, free snacks, free food. There's always cookies. And I always like to say there's coffee, cookies, and conversation. So put that together. And I said, let's call this program Coffee Connections. And we tried it out at a couple locations, and it grew and grew and grew. And now we're at over 100 locations around the world. We have over 900 events happening in 2025. Like, this program, spouses said, we want this, and we listened. So,
and I think it's important because, like, we also do coffee meetups for Deployed Love. That was something that we knew needed. I think we started our coffee meetups, at least at Bragg, before the Bragg team started doing it. And I love the Bragg team. The Bragg team has a special place in my heart. Adore the Bragg team. So if you're listening, love you guys. But, you know, it is a need. And I think it's also really nice to have, like, we're a small organization. We're not as well known as the USO. And so a lot of people are more inclined to go to something that they know is a safe space. And I love that's there. I've been to the Coffee Connections myself for USO, and I loved it. Like, there's communication, you get to connect with other people. I think the one I went to, we played bingo, which was really fun. So, you know, there are so many different things, and it's just not showing up. Like, I promise you, if you've not gone to a Coffee Connection, as a person who's gone to it, and not speaking from the USO side, but speaking from a spouse, have been to this, I never felt once that I didn't have anyone to talk to. There was someone who was always, I mean, if I didn't feel like I was the one talking, which is my personality, reaching out to other military spouses, there was someone else who was doing the same thing, like whether it was a USO team member or another spouse. But I did not feel like there was any spouses who went that didn't have a moment of connection with another military spouse. And I think that's really, really important for military spouses. And I love that you guys have this program and it's available across the globe because it's needed. That connection is needed because it is weird. It's kind of like keeper status. Like, if you're in the comments saying, like, hey, I like your shirt. Like, let's be best.
Right. Exactly.
And we still do that. Don't get me wrong. But, like, for those introverted person who need a little bit more of a safer space that is designated for that, like, everyone's going to feel the same way coming in. I think it's a really great program. And I'm so glad that you were like, we need to do this because it's needed.
Yeah, no, and it's been great. It's been a great program for many, many military spouses. And it's nice that they know that it's this common program, that this core program, you could even say, that when you're at one location and you're getting ready to PCS to the next location, you can look up USO Coffee Connections, and like, the schedule's there, like, you can go to that to find some friends, find resources, find your emergency contact, because Lord knows you can't put your spouse when you get to the next location.
I love that you said that.
Yes.
Because the amount of times and it's so funny because, like, the amount of times, and we've all done it, and if you say you haven't done that, like, then I'm like, you're lying. But the amount of times we've put a emergency contact on our kids list of a person that we probably have only known 2 weeks.
Yes.
We've all done it.
We've all done it. Yes.
So and then that's just part of the military life. Like, if you have a friend there that's already there, that's great. I love when I get to move to an installation and I already know at least one person, but that doesn't always happen.
No.
And so I remember when we first moved here, I didn't know anybody. So there was no emergency contact list on my kids list. It was my parents, and both my parents and my in-laws, and they're both 3 and 4 hours away. So I was like, if there's an emergency, you might get a hold of them, but they're not gonna be able to come get the kids if I'm not there. But this year I was able to put a friend on it because I was like, I made a friend like a couple months later after we had moved here. And so, but it's crazy that, we have to go find emergency contacts.
So find your emergency contact at a Coffee Connection. And, we understand it. We absolutely do.
There's no shame in it. We have to, as military spouses, we have to do what we do, and we have to do things to survive. And if that means we are making a friend, and that friend is a 2-week friend, and we're like, hey, can I put you down as emergency contact? I mean, just so anyone ever knows, I will always be your emergency contact. Right. I'm here for you in that capacity, no matter what. But I think there's so many people who are just like, oh, like, and I think that's why a lot of spouses feel so disconnected and lonely is because, especially if they are the introverted person. Like, I'm not. I can just be like, hey, let's be friends. Like, hey, you look like we vibe. Let's go have coffee. Or
Exactly.
let's read a book. Oh, you're reading a book? I love that book too. Like, let's be friends. And so, but I know that I'm not everyone. And I know I have a lot of friends who are just like, I could never, Ashley, like, I could never just walk up to someone and say hi. And I'm like, I get that, because as I'm getting older,
Yeah.
that kind of dwindles down a little bit. Like, where I'm
I
like, do I
agree.
really want to go over there and like introduce myself? Like, I'll start like having that inner monologue of like, do I want to? But in the end of the day, like, I know that I'm a military spouse advocate, and I know that like if I see someone who is struggling, that I want to make sure that I can help them in any way, whether it's pointing them to an organization or if it's just a listening ear. And I think
Right.
you get that at USO as well. And I think that's amazing, that not, if you need something, you could go into a USO and there's going to be someone there that can assist you in finding you what you need for the support you need.
And that's the thing. Most USOs are on the installation, and they are connected to many other resources and other organizations. So if what you're looking for isn't at the USO, if you're looking for something outside of that, they're going to be able to lead you in that
Yeah.
direction. So we always say, just stop in, get your cup of coffee, attend a program. Maybe you don't want to do a coffee connection. Maybe you want to do a canine program. Did you know we have a canine program, and
Nope.
that you can come and just pet dogs, therapy dogs, and like it's
I didn't know that.
and that's the thing. Like sometimes you just don't want to talk to another human. You just want to sit there and just, be zen. You can pet the dog. So check out our canine program. But I want to circle back because you were asking about virtual programs too. And
Yeah.
so that was one thing that pre-COVID, even, we knew spouses could have kids at home and
Mm-hmm.
can't get to the base, or they live far away and it's just really hard to even get to these events.
Yeah.
So we thought, well, why don't we just create a place like this where you can just have conversations with people? And so we started doing things like Coffee Connection Live, where just conversations with other, people, resources, stuff like that we can chat with. And then we started doing some cooking stuff. And then we started doing virtual baby showers, which was a huge hit. And we found that about 72% of the spouses coming to our virtual baby showers, that was the only baby shower or only celebration that they would even get.
Yeah.
So it was
Well, and
crazy.
it's crazy because, like, both my kids, I didn't have a baby shower. Well, I had a baby shower, but I had, like, it's so weird that I have to say this out loud, but I had to, like, throw it myself. Like, my sister threw it, but I paid for everything. I did all the research. I found all the decorations. I did everything, but she's the one that threw it. But then at the same time, like, it was me. It was me who put it all together just so I could have a baby shower. And, yeah, just
Yeah.
and that was just like that ruined the whole experience for me. I was just like, I'm so stressed about making sure there's enough food and all this other kind of stuff when I'm about to pop and all this other kind of stuff. And so
It's
I
a
think
stressful time.
and so having programs like that is great. I also love the interviews that you guys have been doing. Those have been so much fun. I think the last one I caught was the Rebecca Yarros.
Oh yeah, so that's a fun program with our entertainment team. So they also, during kind of the COVID era, since they weren't really able to kind of get out and bring the entertainers to so many locations, they thought, well, let's do this in a virtual space too. So they created MVPs, which stands for Military Virtual Programming, and just doing interviews with celebrities and all kinds of fun stuff. So yeah, those are always fun whenever they have those. And then they're also just cataloged on the website too, so you can always go back and check them out.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's good to know, because there were a couple that I missed due to scheduling conflicts, so I didn't know that. So I'll have to go back and look at it. I did watch the Rebecca Yarros one just because I was just like, what information is the USO going to get out of our Dragon Queen? But yeah, so what's one of your favorite programs? Like, is it the Coffee Connect, or is there another program that's your favorite?
Well, Coffee Connections will always be near and dear to my heart because that's kind of my baby in a way, But one that always brings me to tears anytime I talk, I'm not going to cry, but is our reading program, the USO Reading Program. And really what that program is designed to do is when the service member is away from their family, let's say downrange, they can go to a USO location or any USO location around the world, but let's just say downrange, and go into the reading room and then read a book to their kids and or spouse. and then we instantly send the video is instantly emailed back to the family, and then the book is shipped within 2 days
I love
via
that.
Amazon Prime. So that's a really special program because, it's one of those where I've seen service members go into a room and they're cool, calm, and collected,
And they
and
come
they come
out.
back out and they're just in tears, and you're just like, you're just a big teddy bear. And
Yeah. Well, and they always have to have that like tough exterior, but then
yeah,
when they do something where it like brings them back to the moment of like, I'm missing these moments and things
yeah,
like no, I'm gonna get Terry. Missing these moments and things like that, like it's hard. And so, having those little programs like that, like, the stories, the daddy dolls, the blankets, the pillows,
yeah,
wherever they may come from, those, like, I remember my husband making fun of me for getting the daddy dolls for my kids. And I was like, look, like, you think this is silly, but I guarantee you this is going to be her, at least my daughter's favorite thing. And it is. She sleeps with it every single night, whether dad is home or not. He comes with us everywhere we go.
yes,
If she's sleeping in a different bed, she has to go get it. And I love it. I love it. So I
yes.
love it so much that she wants a mommy one too. And I'm like, I'm gone maybe one time a year, if that, max 7 days out of the entire year. And I was just like, maybe I will talk
Right.
about it. But she's like, I get to sleep with daddy, gets to snuggle with me every single night. And I'm just like, my heart.
Yes.
And
Making
those,
everybody feel connected. Yeah.
and they do. And then so when you have your service member doing the opposite side, like, I know for a fact that like my husband like would gripe and whine and complain if I say, hey, go read this book and get it recorded. But I know that as soon as he got in there, he would just be like, this is for Claire Bear or Devlin,
Yeah.
whoever he's reading the book for. And he would be emotional about it. He may not show it because that man never shows it. But I love how that they come out like all like in a different demeanor. It shows that is something that's also needed, not only for the families, but the service members needed to have the opportunity to be able to do something for those at home that they don't get to do. Like, they don't get to read a story at night every night.
Right.
So it's fun. I love, those are my favorite program. My favorite programs are the programs that the service members get to do something for their families back home, or vice versa. The family can do something and send it to the service member, just because like that's, hey, we're still thinking of you. We still miss you. We love you. We hope you're like safe and everything like that. But this will help us get through the next couple weeks, months,
Right.
whatever it may be.
Exactly. And well, with the reading program, the families can go to their local USO, and we call it like reverse reading, where you with your kids can read to your service member, and then we send the book again to the kids, but then the service member gets the
The video.
recording from you guys reading the book. So it's really, really cool. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So I think I had all of my questions. I was going to ask another question, but I don't know if you have a story, but we'll ask it anyway. So can you share a story from a service member or a family member that was impacted by the U.S. work that you've done? Like, is there someone that sticks out in your heart that was like, yeah, no, this is a story I will remember forever?
I mean, it's more so because every USO has a story, and so many USO employees and teammates, we all have a USO story. Mine, I have so many because it's been 16.
nonprofit sector for only 5.5 years.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, which story would I choose if someone asked me? And I wouldn't be able to choose, because it's just, they're all so different, but they all have such a meaning and powerful impact of why I continue to do what I do, why we continue to build programs and things like that as well. So I'm sure that's the same for you.
There's many, I mean, there were times, and this is going back to when we were here the first time, and I worked really close with the teammates in the USO centers, and going back to like the Warrior Center that's located right next to Launchville Regional Medical Center, and making breakfasts for the service members that were there visiting. And we were there on Christmas morning making them breakfast, and just knowing that we were there with them, on a holiday, and they were so appreciative, and knowing, like somebody FaceTimed their mom or something and like, hey, look, I'm with my other family, and just being so loved and appreciated by them, but then like letting them know like, no, but I appreciate this so much too. So it was just those types of moments it's why I do what I do.
Yeah.
Like, you
No,
know?
I agree. And I love how you're just like, again, like back to Launchville and Ramstein, like if you're stationed there, like that's where your journey of volunteering needs to like start, y'all. If you were looking at it, because truly, like that's, I mean, that we did the same thing. I think I was too young to do the cooking and stuff. So we put together toiletry bags, and that's, I can vividly remember sitting kind of like at this table with my siblings, and we were just sticking little bottles of shampoo and toothpaste and everything into these little bags, so that way when there was visitors at the Fisher house or anywhere else, they had them. And I was just like, and that's kind of like, you know, the start of my volunteering. Like that's where, you know, back in middle school. And but that's so fun. I'm just like laughing internally. Like I'm like, someone else had like kind of the same journey as me. Like they started at Ramstein Lunchstool, and then it just progresses. And I think that when you find an organization to volunteer with, and it's something that, you know, you do have that deep impact of working with the family on a holiday, or, you know, whether it's through Deployed Love at our holiday minis or one of our mini sessions or one of our social events, you get that one-on-one experience. It really is a one-on-one experience when you go to events at USO or Deployed Love or Rick's Place at Fort Bragg, wherever you may be. They're very hands-on, and I think that is when the outcome is positive. And I think that's why you guys have been around since 1941. Like it's the outcome has been so positive, and people keep coming back and going back to the USO, and the USO keeps providing programs that, you know, are changing with the times, like, you know, adding in those virtual things for those moms. I love that. I wish that the virtual events were around earlier, or I had known more about them, because that was kind of my, like, I have 2 small kids. Like, do I really want to go by myself with 2 small kids to this event and then worry about like not being able to even interact with people because I'm chasing 2 small kids around? And so it's definitely one of those things where like I love that we are changing with the times in terms of that for military families, recognizing that military families may only have 1 car, have young kids, they can't always attend things, and making it more accessible, which is just so important. Are there any other programs that you would like to share that we haven't discussed already?
I mean, there's the USO Transitions program. So that program is for service members, but for military spouses too.
Yeah.
Really for military spouses as they're transitioning, you know, throughout their journey. So I would say during PCSs, or, you know, looking for employment opportunities or certifications, or, you know, education type knowledge, things like that, if that's the proper terminology. But our transitions team is incredible. So that's something where you can go to the local USO, connect with a transition specialist, and then they'll kind of be your coach or your guide throughout your journey wherever you are.
Yeah.
And then we talked about the entertainment team. Another fun that we have is our gaming team. So our gaming programs, we're finding that a lot of military spouses really enjoy gaming, which
Yeah.
is amazing because I'm not in that world.
I'm not either, but I've connected with so many people who have just been like, do you play this, and this? And I'm like, I don't, but I know other people let me connect you, because like I've never been a gamer. That is I'm a twin. If those who are not listening don't remember, or if you're new to the show, I'm a twin, and my twin is a gamer. So she's always been the one that's like been really big into games and things like that. I'm more of the book nerd, where I just kind of like sit in my corner and read. But I've been kind of not surprised by it, I guess. Like, I feel like it's just kind of becoming more knowledgeable about how there are so many spouses out there. I mean, not they're service members, but there are spouses out there that do really enjoy all of those games. I was talking to a bunch of people the other day, and they're like, we play D&D. And I'm like, I know nothing about that other than the name. Sorry. Like, I'm not the person to talk to you about this. I will cheer you on from the sideline, like, you go, but that's not my realm. But I love that there is a space where you can be like, hey, like, you're into game. Oh, you should go check out USO. And
Exactly, yeah. And we have a virtual, so it was really cool because we have our USO Coffee Connections, and that was a virtual conversation, like USO Coffee Connection Live was a virtual conversation for spouses. We heard about the gaming piece and that spouses wanted to do that. So now we do have touch points throughout the year where it's this virtual space where spouses come together and play.
so much fun.
Games. Yeah.
That's so much fun, because, like, you know, especially when spouses are on a deployment or a long training exercise or something like that, and you are at home alone and you're playing these games, like it is so, I mean, I've always find it easier to connect with other people who have gone through the same things or are going through the same thing. So having that opportunity to go play with other military spouses and kind of
Right.
just engage, and whether you're in a battle and getting your frustration out. I don't know how these games are, so sorry if that is not what you guys do, but I hope whatever you guys are doing, it does bring you joy and it does bring you relief and community in the way that you guys want it. And I love that. Like, I love that there is an option for those who are gamers.
Yeah. So yeah, and I mean, it makes me think about the gaming place. Like, if I found out that there was a thing where military spouses were coming together and hanging out, I would probably like go to it and maybe not game, like a book club. I will go to a book club. I am there for the interaction. If
Yes.
I start talking about the book, I'm gonna check out, but I will be there for the rest of the conversation.
Yeah, and that's what I was in a part of a book club, not back at Bragg, and I love that book club, and
Yeah.
but it became this like huge party, and like we never chatted about the books or anything like that, because we all just knew that we needed to have connection, and we all had a love of books and all that kind of stuff. I mean, sometimes we talked about books, especially if it was a book that we had like a lot of theories and stuff like that, but if you are a book person and you like to talk theories, you could just chat all night long. But it's one of those things where just having a group setting where there's one thing in common just helps especially like I said, like we were talking about earlier, like it helps with those introverted feelings of anxiety or anything like that, of maybe no one's gonna like me. But if you know that you're going to an event, whether it's a Coffee Connect and you all know your military spouses, or it's a gaming or a book club or a mom group or something like that, you all have at least one other thing in common. Not only your military spouse, but your military spouse who likes the game, or military spouse who likes coffee, or military spouse who has kids. You all have things in common. And even though we all have similar journeys, we all have very different journeys as well. So like we can connect on things, but we can also share our experience and our knowledge and our expertise in things, and maybe that can help another spouse on their journey. Or it could be like, no, I don't want that to happen, so we are taking every steps to make sure that doesn't happen, whatever the case may be. But I think the important thing is connection is important. Connection with your service member is important, and having that communication and having them feel connected to you. So whether it's them going to the programs for themselves, whether it's the transition, which like you said, the transitional one, and I think a military spouse should go to it anyway, so that they're just kind of in the know of how the process is going to go, because we all know military spouses handle everything. So we need to know like what needs to be done by this time, what needs to be checked off at this time. So we kind of need to be in the know about those things. But, having that connection, having the community is so, so important. And my heart hurts for military spouses who say like, I don't want any connection with the military. That's my husband's job. And I'm like, I get it. It's a job, but it's so much more than that. There's so much that comes with his job, her job, that affect you directly, that there is no way to get through military life without some form of support. Like whether it's one person or you just have all these resources tucked in the back of your pocket for a rainy day, if that's how you're going to do it. But having those and knowing and being in the know is so important. Which is why we started the podcast in general. Like we knew that there were all these amazing resources and amazing spouses out there that had stories to tell. And we knew that this was important and it needed to be shared in one location. Because we know there is a plethora out there, and it's so hard to sometimes find the stuff and weed through the things that are legit and not. So I'm a huge fan of the USO. I've been a huge fan of the USO my whole life. Is there anything else that you would like to add about the USO that you think is really important to share?
Well, and this goes back to the basics. When I first started really leaning in on the military spouse programs for the USO, it's the story that I always got a lot of head nods from military spouses and going, yep, you guys, this is it. So when you are a military family, and a family could be you and your spouse, right? When you're a military family and you PCS or move to a new location, the service member is going to go to work and they're going to have a connection. They're going to have coworkers, and they're instantly going to have people that they can talk to.
Yep.
If you have children, they may potentially go to a daycare, go to school, and they are instantly going to have a network as well. You, as a military spouse, are put in that awkward position of, I have a lot of boxes in this house right now. I don't know what we're going to eat later. And, I don't have any friends. I don't know anyone. It can, you more times than none, it's that situation of, what do I do now? What do I do now? So this is where we're saying, as a military spouse, when you PCS to a new location, or even if you've been there for a little bit and you feel like you don't have a network, go to the USO, let them know you're there, and let them know your story, and they will get you connected to, whether it be friends or kids events or other programs that they know about or have going on within the community, so that you then feel whole and and complete. And so that is just my one thing for military spouses. Check out to see what the USO has going on for you. And if you can't get to a USO center, like we were talking about, check out our virtual programs. It's at uso.org. You can check out uso.org/coffee connections. Our virtual programs are uso.org/MVP, or the transition stuff's the USO/transitions. I know it's a lot. I just said a lot. And, people could be running right now listening to your podcast going, wait, what?
That's okay, because we'll have it in our show notes, y'all. So don't worry. We'll have the links directly in the show notes. You can just click on it. We will post those on all of our posts on our social media accounts. Do not worry. We always have your guys' back when it comes to that. But, just in general, like, if you've never even been to the USO website, go check it out. Go see what everything they offer, because, like, something that we've been learning the last few episodes that we've been doing, we've re-interviewed some people we've had previously on the podcast, and programs change, y'all. Things are added, things are taken away, and things that we knew about, years ago, that we're like, oh yeah, no, I know that program. And then they're like chatting away, and we're like, I didn't know you did that. So, like, things change. So, like, constantly kind of just go back and check and see, is there something that fits more with your lifestyle or what you're looking for or what your need is, and then go from there. But I mean, 100%, like, if you are local to a place that is doing events with the USO, highly suggest attending them. At least one. Give it a shot. Give it a go. See what you think. I always say at least 2 events, because, like, there always could be an off day. Like, don't one time experience, like, don't go with that. But it is Ben, I love that we get to work with you guys through Deployed Love. Like I said, the Bragg team has been amazing. We've done so many things with them throughout the years. And I mean, some of our volunteers have been USO volunteers as well. I know we have 2 individuals who volunteered with us who are also volunteers for the USO. Actually, I think one is now an actual employee. But anyways, we love the USO. We are so happy that we finally get to have you guys on the podcast. Way too long. Can't believe it was season 5 that we were like, we haven't talked to the USO yet. And I think when we first started, we were just like, oh, let's get all these smaller resources that people may not know about. And they're like, we didn't even do the big ones. Like, what are you doing here? So thank you so much, Nicole, for coming on. You're making time for us in your busy afternoon schedule. And we are, once again, everybody, we hope that you learned something from this podcast. We hope that you go check out the USO events, look at their website, and like we always say, Ruckup Buttercup, like, it's a new day.